Alrighty. The bright sun. There's a car I'm driving now. 1997. It's not a bad machine. There's a couple of little squeaks and rattles in it, but nothing that's even as bad as the other one. And yeah. It has done less miles than my last one as well. Look at all this. Another one of these. There's a couple of clouds way off in the background, but we're more or less a cloudless sky. Now, this is winter. This used to never happen. Last year and this year, we had that much sunlight, I never needed to turn the inverter off. And yeah, I haven't turned it off this year either. I think it's around 9 AM or 9:15 or something at the moment. Still a little bit of dew on the grass. Sort of strange we haven't been, well, at least not yet, we haven't got to really bad, heavy rainfall. And, you know, the long and short of it is I can still drive the car out in the paddock and not get bogged. But you sort of get a thing where it rains at the night and then it comes up the next day, nice and bright. Not always. Doesn't always rain at the night, but it almost always is coming up fairly bright. But what we've been having quite a bit now is a frost in the morning, and it's fucking freezing, literally freezing cold. And you know, you got to get the frost off your car and that. And I've got into work, and you know, here we are with the sun already up, and I'm walking around, and there's things at work that have got dew on them, and the dew is still solid ice, like the dew is still frost. And just you can jump. And yeah, here you are dealing with things, and there's ice on them. And the sun's up and everything. But the air's still very cold. And I mean, the air's fairly cold now still. But, you know, that'll change before too long. It seems that it does get extremely cold in the morning, and the sun comes up. The air remains cold for a couple of hours until the sun warms everything up. And then you have a not too bad day. And you don't need to go wearing a great heap of stuff once the sun warms the place up. As you can tell, the solar panels there are probably getting full light, and might not be a stupid idea to go and use an electric blanket at this point, but I don't ever seem to need one. I've sort of changed my sleeping style a little bit, where I go stick a log on, and some of these logs, well, you hope they last ages and ages, and well, you know, I'm burning cypress pine, not hardwood, so it ends up it lasts about 4 hours or something with one of these decent sized logs in there. And the long and short, instead of like 6 hours, and long and short of it is that, you know, I'll be asleep. I'll probably go to sleep literally with no sheets or anything on, just laying, you know, just laying on the bed with the sheets out of the way. And sometimes I might pull an individual thin little sheet over, and then yeah, go to sleep like that. And later on, the wood heater will be dying down a bit, and at that point I pull the blankets over and sleep underneath the warmth of the blankets. And I'll sleep as warm as toast for the remaining 4 hours of the night. In fact, I've only been up a few minutes, and went to bed about 11:30, so I got a good 8 hours, probably nearly 9 hours in. And yeah, fairly warm. But sometimes it's good to wear the little beanie, the little fluffy hat, if you wake up, because your head might be a little bit cold, but the bulk of your body's all nice and warm. In that case, I've got 2 blankets on, one thin little polycotton bed sheet and then 2 blankets on, and that keeps you nice and warm. And this little putty cat comes and lays against me sometimes, and I almost get a little bit too hot sometimes. There's been another time the other day, apparently it wasn't much colder in the kitchen than it is right now. 7 degrees in the kitchen now, and it was 6 degrees in the kitchen when I got up, but I swear to God, black and blue, it must have been 2 or 3 degrees Celsius inside my bedroom. Fucking hell, it was cold. So, stupid Android phones, being Android phones, I just sort of, you press your main button, your big flat button at the bottom of the screen, and it just lights up and tells you, what the time is, before you got to actually swipe left or right on the screen to get into your main menu. And it sat there telling me that I had about an hour left, and I thought, I don't give a shit, I'm fucking lighting this up. And there's been times where, usually I have a lot of trouble really getting to sleep, but there's been times, some people, my head hits the pillow and I go to sleep. Oh, it takes me 15 minutes. With me, fucking hell, it can take me 45 minutes or an hour to even fall asleep. So when I say I've had 8 or 9 hours sleep, I probably only had 7, or something, Well, not 7, it'd be, 8 hours and 15 minutes, not 9 hours sort of thing, Things like that. So it always takes me a long time to get to sleep. But there have been times where I've laid there for 45 minutes and then got 15 minutes sleep anyway. But not a great one on getting to sleep. Haven't been for ever since my teenage years, really. But yeah. Long and short of it is, it was bloody cold, and no sooner had I got this fire lit up, then we changed from 3:52 to the 4:45 alarm going off. I'm not joking. So never completely trust the time on your on your Android phone screen until you actually swipe right or swipe left, and then more or less wakes the phone up and you get the right time. But it didn't matter, because I really needed to warm up, and so I stood there in front of it for another 15 minutes, and little putty tat enjoyed the warmth of the room that probably lasted for another hour or 2, didn't you, puss? But yeah, I've got a little fire that I've had going around the other side here. Burnt some sticks. There's a bit of a strange effect that occurs because of all the leaf litter off these cypress pines. Because a lot of these, well, not a lot of them, but pretty much all of them, the whole lot. I don't know about the boxthorn, but I know the cypress pines went in 1927. I couldn't tell you when the gum tree went in. Probably the same year. But there's a lot of leaf litter left over from that. And if you ever light a fire above it, it gets this smouldering thing where it just sort of slowly burns in the leaf litter. I don't know if I can show it with this camera, but we'll go around and we'll have a look at it. And I've had the same thing out on the trees out on the point. That's the trees way out there. And it was smouldering for 3 days, and I put it out after 3 days of it smouldering. And with this one, I'm probably going to put this out. Because I really, smouldering is still a live fire as far as I'm concerned. And, we've got a few dried out boxthorn and whatnot around here. I don't know how often I've showed around here, but we did have a major drag out. And I realise people are getting a little bit bored of some of these sowing videos, because most of you subscribe because you like to see off-grid stuff. And oh, here comes the wind. Here goes the sheep. And the long and short of it is sort of devolved into a sewing channel of late. This is all stuff we pulled out of here, and we've got a stinging nettle come up in place. And yes, I know I've got no socks on, but it's only very short, so I'm not really going to get stung. I've been stung a lot of times before, but when you get stung, you still get stung. You don't get resistant to it. Unlike bee stings or spider bites and stuff like that. Blasted old rabbit hole starting to cave in every time I walk around here. So there's a firewood stash. It's pretty much been here since last year. There's me fire pump thingy. As you can probably see, you may have been able to see before. I don't know how well you're going to see it. You can see it. Just smoulders. And if you sort of look at it as a whole, the whole thing's dipped in a bit. Because it's burnt the pile of wood, and then it's actually burnt the leaf litter, and then sunk down. Sometimes you get a better view. We're running pretty low pixels here, so you'll see it coming out of here too, probably. There you can see it. And that's just the leaf litter just smouldering away. See, it's all caved in. You can see it fairly well there. There's like a height change. It all caves in. If you put your hand over the top of this, it's still all warm, quite warm. But I lit that 5 o'clock yesterday, and it was a little stack of sticks, you know, up and 3-4 foot high. And there's reasons you want more than a bucket of water. You want a proper, that's a Riga. That design's pretty much unchanged since the mid-80s. That's your basic dual way or dual action fire pumpy thingy. You're supposed to mount them on your back. That one's been out in the sun a little bit, as you can see. I bought that about 3 years ago or something. But the old Boxthorn got a bit of a scorching. This was all green leaves, but the wind was blowing a little bit, so it sort of blew it across. But anyway, I'll sort of go through and you go to water it, and I'll water it, and then I'll come back later on today and probably water it again, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. This side, I don't know, it seems to have, you can really tell by putting your finger in. But yeah, you can sort of go around and almost dig it up a bit with a stick and water it all in. And yeah, make sure that it dies off, but you'll notice that it dies off when it stops moving. It only moves very, very slowly, quite slowly. It might only move a few inches a day, but it's not something you want to leave go. When you got dry box thorns under there and stuff like that, and always worry a little bit too about catching onto tree roots. And yeah, I've seen some funny things. I had one once that, I don't think it was to do with this, but I burnt some other stuff near a tree, and it all looked like it was out. And would you believe it, it come up in the base of the tree and started burning, and it was smouldering underneath the bark. You couldn't believe this shit until you've seen it. And I tore the bark off, and it's all red embers underneath the bark. That's one that happened out on the point, out on, you know, before the drop off the edge of the hill. Yeah. Anyway, it's very green. You see a bit of grass out here. Now that there's actual grass, not just blooming stinging nettle. Yeah. So anyway, like I was saying, I'm going to try and, I got a lot of photo. The year I was pretty much off YouTube, I've got a lot of video from that, including all this area being cleared out with a tractor. And we done some rippers, like pulled out an entire stump here, and several of them through here. Some smaller, some substantially big. As you can tell, the actual stone wall collapsed into the hole at that point, and that point there. Stones are up against a tree, and she, boom. So as you can see, she sort of caved right in there. But yeah, definitely opened the place up. And then from here through to the water tank, this was just a whole mess of random collapsed trees and boxthorn here, boxthorn there, but it was just a lot of trees on top of each other, and that's left me with huge amounts of firewood. And there's still some that I probably should be cutting up to some of the smaller stuff, but to be quite honest, I haven't even really done anything small in regards to cutting up small stuff this year yet. I've got a little bit sitting at a certain place that's going to get sawn up. That's just a lot of, well, it's really just small bits of pine. But a lot of what I've had is, there's a stack that's way out there. There's just these tiny little bits of hardwood, and they've been sitting out there for a few years now. And the first year I used a few of them, and then I sort of didn't touch them ever since. And some of them are starting to go rotten, but the ones that are going rotten, they're actually eaten by these giant cockroaches that just burrow into the wood. They don't do anything except just burrow into the wood. And where the wood's rotting, you can see, particularly in the outer edges, that they've eaten into the wood. And I've got a bit of that stuff blowing around here. Aside from videos that I made during my year off, which it probably won't be a great deal, there's ones where I went ahead and this is this hardwood I'm saying about. They're all pre-cut like that. They've been sitting there for shit since my uncle was alive, probably 12 years or something. Yeah, the videos I made previous year, there's a few of them, but most of them just include making this evaporative cooler. Like quite a lot of them are making this evaporative cooler. It's not something I'd want to show as a whole heap of individual videos. In fact, it's probably not even worth the cost of uploading. So I won't include the videos on that. And I think there's something else. Oh yes, my Peltier experiments. I probably won't include the videos on those. Maybe at a later time I will, but I think it's something that you really need a video editor to string all those two together, because it's quite a few individual videos. But as I said, you know, flaming hell, I'll probably be uploading from the series of making each one of those. It'd probably be a gig worth of data each, you know, and that's a fair slog. And I don't think you want to see 8 or 10 blooming 3-minute videos versus one well-edited one, but I don't have a video editor. Another thing that's going to be coming up, I'm going to have to do a little 7-year off-grid review, because, in all honesty, I'm about a week off the point of having been off-grid for 7 years. 7 years! I don't know, I can fucking believe it myself. It's quite a surprise, really. 7 years since I moved into this joint, and then a few months later put those in. Early days, whoo, yeah, they were I was using an old car battery that I'd have to charge up every week of my parents to run the hot water system, and everything else was just AA batteries. Trying to charge me phone out of my car cigarette lighter and all that. That was the first 3 months or so of being here, and then I got the initial system with one battery. It's now got two. And then at a later point, the fridge system. And yeah, but I'll do a whole talk on 7 years off grid, and you know, at this point you don't know any other way. Like, it's just sort of normal, you know, to be living off grid, because you're just used to it. You do realise there's advantages and disadvantages, and you do enjoy flogging other people's air conditioning systems during the heat of summer, but yeah. Got a trouble with all this business up here. Blasted valley gutter keeps blocking up with leaves, but not leaves, just all this leaf litter somehow off the cypress ones blows in there. Because it's so fine, it'll get in with a couple of leaves from the gum tree and it'll just block everything up. I've taken off the little bend in the bottom there, and it's just flowing down onto the roof, under the veranda, and you can even see some of the build-up of shit that's come out of the pipe. Sort of annoys me, you know. I've got to make some sort of a better system, but the angle I've got on this is such a shallow fall that I don't have much of a height to make much of a system, unless the water tank was to be moved and everything. But that water tank is, what is it now, 23 years old, so I don't like its longevity anyway, with all leaves in the bottom. It's only sheet metal, you know. It's a wonder it's still blooming, hasn't rusted through yet, but yeah. Anyway, me and little pussy are having a nice time out here. She was catching a lot of mice about a month ago, but she doesn't seem to be getting as many lately. But brought a couple of rats in. Fucking threw one up on the spot, more or less. Funny cat. Ate the damn rat and then, ugh, this is too strong, too rich. Whoa. Thank God it wasn't on the bed. That's what we have lino floors in the bedroom for. In fact, that's the only reason I put lino floors in the bedroom, isn't it? Because of you and dead things. Starting to see a couple of bats hanging around too. Fortunately, she's not bringing any inside, but I've had, not on a real regular basis, but I have noticed it once or twice, bats flying around, the tiny little ones that we have here. Theory says they're, well, they got the statement that they're the smallest in the world, but it turns out they're not actually. They're, you know, a quarter-inch bigger than the actual smallest in the world, but they are getting around. Anyway, I think that's about all that's really happening. I have had some strange things. I think YouTube's rerunning like a copyright analysis on everyone's videos or something. A couple of videos I made back in 2014, my Off-Grid Life series. You know, I'd show literally a minute of TV, and I'd just hold the camera up to the TV, in a 30-minute or 35-minute video. Most of those videos are 25 to 35 minutes long. And, you know, I'd go and show that, and only recently have I got a copyright notice for videos I put up in 2014, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Blooming unbelievable. I also have been told that the personal messaging system in YouTube's being wiped out. And the video editor was wiped out, and I tell you what, the bloody things I could have done with that video editor that you're now not going to see, that you're now not going to have the, you know, benefits of. Shit, I was really pissed off when I found out they got rid of the video editor. Oh, lack of use, and it costs too much to maintain it. Hang on, how can it cost too much to maintain it if nobody's using it? I mean, it's like saying, oh, it's breaking down all the time, but nobody's actually using it. Like,